In this video, I'm going to show you how to replace the front brake pads and rotors in this 2014 Subaru Forester located in the front two wheels. I'm going to use a 19mm socket to take the wheel off. You want to make sure the wheel doesn't fall off, so just keep a hand on it while you take that last one. I'm going to use a 14mm socket to loosen caliper bolts. I'll leave that in for a minute. I'll get this one out. I'm going to use a pry bar. This particular vehicle looks very rusty, has a lot of salt on it, so it's going to take me a minute to free up just about anything. Usually you can pry up the caliper this way. This is why I left this bolt in, so it doesn't go too far away, and breaking our hose would be a bad idea. All right, now we're free to take out this other bolt. I'm going to use my caliper hanger for now to put this up and over out of the way. Just be careful not to stretch your hose. This hose right here, you don't want to stretch too much. I'm going to use a 17mm and loosen up these caliper bracket bolts. Make sure you keep a hand on the bottom so it doesn't fall off. Okay. Now we're going to take our rotor off. All right, now that we got the rotor off, we are going to clean this up around this ridge here and on the surface. So I'm going to use this. You can use a wire brush, whatever you have. All right, now we're going to spray it down. Now that we've sanded it down, and then we're going to apply some anti-seize after that dries, so that the rotor does not stick to the hub. All right, so now we're going to put our rotor back on. Before we do that, we're going to check this rotor to see if it's got any protective coating. As you can see with the yellow marks and what have you, it does. So we are going to clean that off first with brake clean. I like to put it on backwards first and just spray it down, let it dry, and then flip it over and do the same. Okay. I'm going to put one lug nut on. just to hold it in place. And then I'll spray it down with some brake clean. Break that off, brake clean. So here we are looking at our caliper bracket. We're going to take our pads out, our old ones. I usually lay them in the same manner that I take them out, so I remember how they went. And then I'm going to take these out. So now here we are, we're looking at a lot of rust, and these don't seem to be moving at all. That one moves a little bit. This one doesn't. I'll try again. So I know that I have new boots for these, so I'm not going to be too concerned about this boot. It is cracked, and that's why it's probably seized inside. Hopefully that doesn't happen to you at home. But if it does, there is boots. All right, so this is important in here. You want to clean that out. You want to make sure this moves in and out. So I'm going to use this one first and clean this off. All right, so here we are. We have our slide. We have our boot. I want to take this boot off completely because we do have new ones, like I said, and reveal the horror that is underneath, which is a lot. So this slide is definitely not doing its job. It's not able to with all this rust and gunk. So I'm going to clean it up as best as I can, make sure there's no pitting. If there is, I'll have to replace it. If not, we'll just repack it with caliper grease or silicone paste and reuse it. All right, so now that we've cleaned up the slide, we're gonna put some caliper grease or silicone paste in there. I'm gonna leave that off to the side for now. I'm gonna take a look inside here since our slides were so bad. I'm going to take a look in there and clean it out. Okay. Now I'm going to put new caliper grease in there or silicone paste. Seems to be pretty good. I'm going to put my boot on. This side goes here, hooked up to this lip, and this side goes here. So I'm going to push in. If you find that the lip here is dirty, you need to clean that off also, which in most cases it's true. Be very careful if you're using anything with metal not to break the new boot. And it should slide on once you get one end started. That looks pretty good. Now you want to push it in, out. Make sure there's no air in there. When you push it in, you'll hear it. You can always pick up this lip on this end a little bit to let it out. You kind of want to vacuum like that. All right, so this slide is a little different. It's got a different shape to it. Just make sure you put it in the top where you found it. And make sure you put enough grease in there. Again, you're going to go in, make sure there's no air in there. So here we are, we're going to clean out the rust and debris that's in here. Make sure you get the right angle areas, because that's where these new clips hang out. All right, now that I've cleaned it up, I'm going to put a little silicone paste in here, not too much. You can do a little finger painting at this point. And put your shims in. All right, once you get that in, you're going to want to wipe it down. You don't want any grease on this end. So I'm going to put this one on this side, the same way I took it off. First putting a little grease, do a little finger painting. And now let's just snap that into place. Once that's seated right, you can just take a rag and wipe it down. Make sure you don't have anything on it. And now we can install our brake pads. So we are going to crack open this bleeder using a 10mm wrench. Before we compress the piston, and I'm going to compress this caliper. I'm going to try to secure it with my caliper hanger, since the hose is not very long in this one. Typically you could just flip it over and do it that way, but the hose is tiny and short. So you want to push this back in so the brake pads fit. So now we are going to compress the piston in our caliper. So you can take your caliper compressor out. You want to check in here to see if there's any leaking happening. Now I'm going to close the bleeder down. First I'm going to hang this up. So now I'm going to place my caliper bracket back. I'm going to stop my top bolt. And stop my bottom bolt. I always start hand tight first. I'm going to snug these up. Then we're going to torque them to 59 foot-pounds. So you're going to put this, you're going to press it against the backside of the bracket. It will push out on you, so you just got to kind of hold it in, as it is spring loaded. And then you put the other side in, same way. The squealer is on the bottom for this vehicle. All right, so now we're going to put our caliper on. So now we're going to use our 14 millimeter and tighten down those bolts. And then we're going to torque them to 20 foot-pounds. All right, just be careful when you're getting around that brake hose. Okay, so your brakes are done. You just want to take this lug nut off, put your tire back on. And then you're going to check your master cylinder on the inside the engine compartment and make sure the fluid is up to max. You're going to get in your car, test the brake pedal, make sure it's not squishy. If it's squishy, you probably need to bleed the brakes. If not, if it's nice and firm, then you can go take it for a test drive. Reinstall your front wheel. You're going to start the lug nuts by hand. You're going to snug it up, bottom one first, walk the wheel on. Snug them up, and then it's 89 foot-pounds to torque it. We're going to torque our wheels to 89 foot-pounds in a star-like pattern. I usually make sure I go one time around, one more time. Make sure I got them all.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.